Hey guys, so we're getting started on the manure. We got all the weed off, so now we're covering the fields with manure, spreading a cover crop, and disc ripping after that. It's starting to get pretty dry and dusty around here right now, so it's pretty good timing to get this manure out while we're not packing the field down. If it's too wet, you can do some real damage to the field with these tanks. It's that hot July, summertime weather. It's getting pretty dry, so I don't think we're doing too much damage. So it's a good time to try and get this all done. We're using our Magnum 240, and it's pulling a Jamesway Max Track tank. It's 6,200 Canadian gallons, 7,400 American gallons. We've had this tank for, I think, about 10 years now. So it's starting to get a little bit tired, but it's still doing the trick. We had a few issues with it already so far. We sprung a leak. Sprung a leak on the pipe. That was on the very first load. It sprung a leak like that big kind of thing. So we patched that all up. Then we had some issues with the pump getting plugged up because little pieces of steel are starting to break off from this measuring thing. So it is getting to be an older tank, but it's still doing the job. We're putting on a load an acre, so about 6,200 Canadian gallons per acre. We're pulling from the sow barn right now. We're already getting close to the bottom, so it's getting to that good thick stuff. So the way it works is the farrowing rooms dump into the main hallway, underneath the main hallway, and that dumps into a big open pit under the dry sow area. So then we pump it out of the dry sow. All the barns are totally slatted, so the manure falls through the slats and then ends up at a pump out here where you pump it out into the tank and out onto the field. This manure is really high in fertilizer value, so we save a lot of money not buying commercial fertilizers by using this manure to grow next year's corn crop. So if we didn't have this manure, we'd be buying more commercial fertilizer. Kind of a cycle. The pigs produce manure, the manure goes on the field, the manure produces corn, the corn feeds the pigs, and so on. The manure is actually better than commercial fertilizer because it has micronutrients and organic matter in it, where if you bought the commercial fertilizer, it would just be nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. This has those things, but it also has micronutrients and organic matter, so it's actually better than commercial fertilizer. And we have it here. We're making money from the pigs, or at least we hopefully are at the time. And then a byproduct of those pigs is this manure, which helps us grow crops. The pump's getting in really rough shape too. We actually have a guy, the guy who built this pump is rebuilding the pump part of this to put on the existing frame that we have. That's got to be 13, 14 years old by now. Manure's pretty hard on stuff. It's pretty corrosive, so that's about what you'd expect a pump to last, I would say, for the amount of manure we do anyway. So he's going to make a whole new pump part that's going to fit right on this frame and be like a brand new pump again. Should last another 12, 13 years. We're going to the very furthest point of these river flat fields at the very back, so it's a bit of a haul to get there. Hey Farmer Dan, why don't you drag hose it? So we don't own our own drag hose, we just have this tank. My cousin has the drag hose, so we gotta pay him custom work rates to drag hose it. So when it's dry like this, and I don't think we're doing that much damage to the ground, I think it's cheaper to just tank it, because it's our tank, it's paid for, it's our time, I don't mind doing it. So cost is the answer. In the springtime, we'll drag hose because we don't want to drive the big tanker over the field in the spring on our ground. If you compact it in the springtime, you'll see that on the corn crop all year long. But in the fall, we're compacting it a bit, but we're going to come over it with the disc ripper, try and lift that compaction out, and then through the winter there's going to be some hard frosts that'll break everything up too, so you hopefully won't even tell the next year where the tanker drove. So part of the reason we try to disc rip it pretty quick is because there are quite a few houses around us. So if we leave the manure sitting here for a few weeks stinking up the neighborhood, nobody likes that. So we try and work it in as quick as we can. Keep the stink down, keep everybody happy. We did go from the sow barn to the home farm here on purpose. Sow manure is a lot lower in nutrients than finishing manure or even weaner manure. So since the fields closest to home generally get manure more because it's easier to get there, we'll put the lower nutrient stuff on these fields because we don't need it here as badly. We'll start going from the finishing barn once we start going to the fields that are further away because it's more worthwhile to truck the manure that's got more nutrients a further distance. We also soil test all of our fields when the wheat comes off, so we'll know what the nutrient levels are in each field. None of our fields ever get too high in nutrients where it's like an environmental risk or just a waste of money putting more nutrients on. We have enough land that we're spreading the manure out between all the fields except for the ones at my brother's in Forest. That one doesn't get manure. But we're spreading the manure out between all the land around here. So it's just providing what the crop is removing. We're not putting any more nutrients on than what we need. Well, it's Saturday night again, so I think I'm gonna call it a day. Time for my weekly Saturday night Ryan Coke, I guess. I'll pick this one up again on Monday. So it's Monday morning now. Gonna spread this cover crop seed and then start disc ripping. So this is mostly oats, but there's some sunflower seeds mixed in there, Austrian winter peas, bunch of random stuff that the cover crop salesman guy said I needed. I just said, give me whatever you think is best. if you can see it on this camera, but there's a coyote just past the ditch. Seems like those things are getting more and more comfortable all the time, getting close to the buildings and stuff. I'm surprised our dog isn't freaking out at that thing right now. So Farmer Dan, why do you do cover crops anyway? So in the last 10 years or so in Ontario, planting a cover crop after the wheat comes off has become a lot more normal. When I was a kid, most wheat fields would get combined and there wouldn't be a cover crop planted. People would spread red clover into their wheat crop in the spring and that would grow up as a cover crop, but if people didn't do that, normally the wheat stubble would just sit there bare all summer. But recently it's become a lot more common. Almost every wheat field now gets a cover crop planted in it. And the idea is to improve the soil structure, to stop erosion, to get more organic matter in your field. So that crop's growing up and then it'll die and decompose, and all that organic matter is good for the soil and help next year's crop. And the crops after that. So I guess the short answer is just for soil health. So we've never done this before where we spread it on and then disc rip it in. Before I always used the drill. So we're gonna have to see how well the emergence is, because after we go over it with the disc ripper, some of the seeds are gonna be the right depth, like an inch or two deep, but some of them are probably gonna be 5 inches deep and not grow. So we'll have to see how that goes. And plus we're kind of guessing with the rate on this spreader. There's no scales or anything on that spreader, so I'm just guessing on how much we're putting on. Some sunflower seeds, sunflower seed there, sunflower seed there. Oats, sunflower seed. So we'll see how it comes up. We'll know in a few weeks how green the field is. If we put enough on or not, then we'll have to keep notes for next year if it's not green enough. Well, I'm getting close to caught up to where Dad is spreading manure, so I'll switch to disc ripping. I got enough of this spread to keep me going disc ripping for the rest of the day anyway, so. So this actually isn't our tractor. We're having some issues with our 310. Bunch of electronic stuff, so they're working on that, and they gave us this Magnum 340 to use. All of our other tractors except the loader are CVT transmission, and this one's a power shift, so this is going to take some getting used to. See if I remember how to do this. Trying to rip up this path on my way back that the manure tank drove over 100 times. Whoops. If you drive CVT for too long, you forget how to drive a real tractor. I just snapped my little clamp thing, so it looks like it's going to be a handheld camera for the rest of this video. So we got all the rinky-dinky stuff done at the back, the little fields. Now we're out into the open big field, so we'll get more acres per hour done up here. The discs at the front are going about 4 inches deep, and the shanks are going about 10 inches deep. So we're trying to get below the compaction we caused with the manure tank and below the plow pan that would be there from years of plowing, and rip everything up. It's stuck?
Yeah, it's like if I push it, it spins
Might have to get a sludge hammer. You be the cameraman. That's a big one. They got a hammer in this tractor. Nothing. Another rock. It's a little one.
There's like a brick.
Broke my rock.
Oh. Daddy, here's one. Don't know if that's too skinny though.
That might work.
Maybe try kicking it now.
There. No problem.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
head up for supper. Then there's a truckload of soybean meal coming I gotta unload after that, and we'll get back at it. Sound good? Well, it's 12:30 in the morning now. We're gonna call it a day. So that gives you an idea of how that all works. Spreading the manure, spread the cover crops, disc rip it in. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.